Those
what do
three
Quentin
people,
Tarantino
like,
and Stephen King have to do with each other?
No, like those three people, I just feel like they'd be good friends. That's how I feel, all right?
So they're going to like start a superhero friend show together or something?
Exactly.
I'm Stephen King. I'm Quentin Tarantino. And I'm M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Hello. Welcome to the show with no name. I have a name. It's Brendan. I also have a nickname. It's B. He has a name. His name is Daniel. He also has a nickname. That is Daniel as well. Daniel, I often get these. So let me back up. I shouldn't say often because I have two different email accounts. So I have a personal email account, and then I have what I would call a secondary email account. And the secondary email account I use for if I want to sign up for a site online to get like some kind of information or download something, or I want to purchase something online. I use that secondary email account because I don't want my personal email account to be inundated with all sorts of nonsense, right? I want the personal
ads
email
and
account.
whatnot. Right,
exactly. The personal account, when it goes ding, that's a sign that somebody I know that I really, really care about and who cares about me has emailed me specifically. So,
you mean it's not like Apple sending you new updated terms and conditions, or it's not what is it like Fruity Fruit Bars telling you you're missing out on a great 10% off coupon?
No, it's nothing. I actually don't. Oh no, I do. I was gonna say I don't have any Apple products, but my mom and dad bought me a tablet for Christmas one year. So that's the only.
I like how you refrained from calling it an iPad. You're just like, it's a tablet.
All right?
Well, they're all on the same playing level.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who would shy away from calling it an iPad. But anyway, I'm sorry.
It's an iPad.
What you're trying to say.
Free plug.
What are you talking about? That's not free. Apple better be paying us at the end of this episode. Do you think these episodes are cheap?
No, I know they aren't.
Free programs that are installed on our programs with our microphones aren't free, but this stuff ain't cheap. All right, it's expensive to do this show.
That's why when we talked about the lottery episode, we did mention the show because we already know it sucks up all our money. If you had money, what would you do? We don't have money. It all goes into
We don't
this.
have money. It all goes right. We actually won the lottery together, and we spent all the money on the show.
And you can unsubscribe and say don't send me these emails or whatever. But one of the biggest ways that you get them is that somehow someone gets your email address. And then there are companies that sell them, right? So they sell your email addresses to other marketing agencies. And the next thing you know, your email address is all over everything. So in the secondary email address, I got a Kickstarter email one time. And Kickstarter, I got to be honest with you, Kickstarter is actually fairly good at this. Okay, Kickstarter they send out an email. I'm going to say once a month. Now it may be once a week. I don't know. That just gives you the idea of how often it is that in my mind, from what I remember of it, it's only the frequency is about once a month because I don't remember having to go in there very often and go delete this email. So, and the reason that I have the Kickstarter email, and again, I could hit unsubscribe, is because I actually it was last year in 2015, I signed up to support a Kickstarter. And so to sign up to actually back one, you have to create an account. So you create an account, you use an email address. I used that site email address. And so they sent, again, these bi-weekly or weekly or monthly reports saying, hey, these are some projects that are currently out on Kickstarter that we love. Right. And so there's some of them. So one of them was actually really neat. That's actually going on as we speak, but,
by the time this episode
airs, it'll be over with. But I thought it was really cool, and it was for a game that this guy is designing, and it's called Pinstripe. And I believe he is doing everything for the game. So he's doing the graphics, he's doing the programming, he is doing the audio, he's doing it all, and he's done, I believe, at least one, I believe two other games that are out that he's released, and so he's got a lot of the game done, and he's doing this Kickstarter to help finish up the game because
now when you say he's done other games, like this game he's already done, or he already has two already published games that are polished, you can go and download them right now and play them.
Later, yeah.
Do you know what they are?
When I'll look them up later in the episode and I'll say them off the top of my head. I don't know.
Okay,
but,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, so it's Pinstripe, and it's so it's a kind of a combination of Don't Starve meets Limbo. So that's sort of the graphics sort of atmosphere that it has. It's got that sort of kind of
little
gothic.
dark, maybe?
Yeah, it's a little dark because you actually have to go into, I think it's hell or the netherworld to actually, you're like a preacher and you go into the netherworlds or hell to save your daughter. Like somehow
we got really nerdy all of a sudden on the show with no name. Got really nerdy all of a sudden here.
With what? What was
we're
the
talking
reference
about
that was
video
made?
games.
Oh, so no, it's okay. So we're gonna move away from that for a minute. So, and the reason that I actually thought this one up is that I had actually been, I don't know how, but like when you're on the internet, you like click a link, and the next thing you know, you're down like some rabbit hole of links, and you're 45 pages deep, and you don't know how you got there, and you don't know what you originally sat down for, right? So you get up like 45 minutes later, an hour later, and you're like, did I even accomplish what I wanted to do? Or right? So I remember this article caught my eye, and it's called. So this is on. There's a couple places where you can find it, but this one is on the Telegraph, which is the sort of the online version of a newspaper in the UK, and it's 14-year-old horror film fan makes her own slasher movie. So she's 14 years old, Emily Di Premio, and she crowdfunded via Kickstarter. And I know that there's also GoFundMe, but I'm not really as familiar with it. But she crowdfunded this whole horror movie thing, and it's actually out now. So she's sending out DVDs for everybody to watch. So I thought, hey, that's really cool. I'm not a big fan of horror movies. I really don't like them. I don't even want the imagery in my head. But I'm like, you know what? Good on you. Good for doing that, and congratulations to you. So my question for you today is, if you could kickstart something, what would you kickstart? So now here are the caveats, because look, we've already had the lottery episode, right? So in that case, in the lottery episode, it was anything is possible, right? So the sky's the limit. We could do hoverboard, right? We can do things that don't necessarily exist yet.
So this one we have to do, there's parameters.
Yeah, exactly. So there have to be parameters in the sense of like, it has to be Daniel himself is leading this. Now you could have people helping you, but it's something that ultimately you are behind, right? If you're going to make a documentary, then you're going to have cameramen, sound men, actors, and whatnot. But ultimately, this is you. So it's not like, hey, I'm going to make a hoverboard. How? I'm hiring these scientists who I don't really know. And money, quote unquote, is an option, or I shouldn't say is an option, but it is a factor in the sense that you are actually now having to get people to give you the money. Yeah, so it's not just like you can go, I do the flying car. Because it's like,
and I get $1 million, yeah,
right, exactly,
or $1 billion, or it'd probably take more than $1 million to build a flying car. But okay, so the question is, if I were to start a Kickstarter, if I start a Kickfunder project, what would I try to fund in terms of as long as I stay within the parameters of knowing that I'm still leading the project, I'm
right?
still
Exactly, it's got to be
lead.
Yeah,
it's got to be something I know about, is what you're saying, essentially. Oh man, where to begin? It's so funny that you mentioned this. I thought we had conversations about this, but maybe we didn't. I'm just going to put a side note. I'm going to put a little asterisk here, because my first immediate answer, and this won't be my final answer, we're going to move away from it, but my first immediate answer is to say my band that I'm in. And the reason I say that is because we're actually about to do something like a Kickstarter.
I did not
like
plan
that.
This, by the way. This is not...
Okay, like... We're supposed to be, so for those who may not know me personally, and most of the people who listen to this show, I shouldn't say most of the people, but I know some people who listen to the show know that I went to school for film production, and so I'm going to be putting together a little film for our Kickstarter, GoFundMe. I'm not exactly sure which website we're going to use at this current stage, but we're going to be using something to crowdfund my band's album that's supposed to be coming out later this year.
This is a full album.
So, I don't know yet. Probably not. It'll probably be a full EP, so it won't be like 13 tracks. It'll probably be closer to like 6 or 7 tracks, so about half of what a full album is. But we're also going to be using the funds to have T-shirts designed to match, the album artwork. We're also going to have, we'll also be, getting other, little things like bumper stickers, a bunch of, we have a couple of other ideas, things I don't necessarily want to talk about yet, just because they're not quite in development yet at this point, as far as what exactly we're going to do. But yes,
and also it's not worth spoiling them here.
It's not worth spoiling here. I mean, well, who knows? By the time the project launches, this episode might be out. So if you go on Go fund. You know what? Just look up Fulcrum Lake and see if we have a crowdfunding project going on at the time. If we do, help us out. Love and support.
So wait though. But they have to look up Fulcrum Lake the band because there actually isn't there a place called Fulcrum Lake, or is that not true?
There used to be.
Okay,
so there used to be a lake in Montana, I believe, that was called Fulcrum Lake, but it was renamed to Mermaid Lake, which I guess in one way that's kind of cool that we now, there's nothing else that's called Fulcrum Lake, but at the same time, did they have to go with such a feminine name? I mean, it's like, it's not like I'm going to rename the band to Mermaid Lake, but still, it just kind of makes me think like, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
So when I think of mermaid and lake, I don't think they go together because mermaids are in the ocean or the sea.
Maybe it was because of the shape of the lake, but see, that's the other thing is that I've never actually seen a picture of like the layout of the lake. I don't know where they got the idea of a fulcrum lake either, so I'm not exactly sure how they came up with that name.
It's shaped like a fulcrum. No, it's shaped like a mermaid. You're right. I didn't know.
Sure, you're right. How did we mess that up? We might as well, fix that now. Okay, so I wanted to put an asterisk on that project because I feel like that's a little unfair. I know my band. Most people don't know my band, and it's kind of one of those things. I just don't feel like it really answers the question, if you will. However, I do want to answer the question in terms of what you want to talk about, and that is what type of project would I do if I were to start another Kickstarter project? When you say there's like limits on money, do I have a limit on how much money I can ask for?
No, not all. Ultimately there's no limit on the amount of funds you can raise. But what I'm talking, I just meant in the sense of like with the lottery one, it was, money was a completely unlimited. It was an unlimited resource. So we could we could land on the moon and cultivate it, or we could make trips to Mars or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's not really Kickstarter feasible. So
what if I don't know? What if I don't know like how much the research is going to cost though? That's my concern, is that I have some ideas, but I'm not exactly sure how much it would cost to research something like that or actually take on I can guess, but I have no idea.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so there's a couple ideas that come to my mind immediately. One of them that I definitely would do, like no doubt in my mind, if I was able to do a Kickstarter. So a while back ago, I started watching this filmmaker. I enjoy film, and so there's a few filmmakers that I like to follow, and I like to keep up with their small video projects that they do here and there. Maybe it's because I like their style or something like that. And so there's this YouTuber that I followed for quite a long time, and I'll still occasionally watch his videos. I don't watch them anywhere near as religiously as I did before, but I still will catch his videos from time to time. His name is Casey Neistat. And because of the popularity of his most recent thing that he's been doing, which he's been doing a daily vlog, he's been doing it for almost a year now. Because of his popularity, people have been sending him products to review in hopes that it'll show up in the vlog and people will see it and it's free advertisement for them to be in there. A lot of people know that he likes to try out different modes of transportation. He'll try different things out. So random things like skateboards and unicycles and bicycles and things like that. Just different crazy things. And there was this thing, and I'm sure everyone has seen them because they've been around everywhere, what people are calling the hoverboard, which is this like hands-free Segway that you step on. It's got two little wheels and you go everywhere. These are really popular right now, and they were definitely hot items for Christmas. I remember when he showed that for the very first time on one of his vlogs, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that's really cool. I wish I had come up with some idea that was better than that. And then he showed us something later that replaced it that he said he liked even more than that, which made me think, I want that instead. And what it was a self-powered longboard that he could ride around town. So he's got this automated powered longboard, which gets up to speeds of like almost 40 miles an hour.
Oh.
Like this thing is insane. Like it's dangerous to drive on.
So just describe to people who don't know what a longboard is.
So a longboard, if for the uninitiated, is a extended skateboard, if you will. Exactly. The longboard is an extended skateboard, usually used for riding down giant hills and stuff like that, because you can carve back and forth for the most part, like almost like a snowboard would. So they're about the length of a snowboard, if you will. And so he has a self-powered longboard, and the cool thing about the self-powered longboard is that again, like I said, is the speed. The speed is incredible, how fast you can go on these things. But even furthermore than that, one of the things that's really cool about I'm sorry, I need to flip this. What's not cool about them, I'm sorry, I was going the wrong direction. What's not cool about them is their price. So there's one company that's kind of stood above them all. I've seen self-powered skateboards and self-powered longboards before in the past, but this one, the boosted board, is the one that's kind of reigning trump and supreme at this time. This board costs on average, and this is for the lowest end one, $1,500. And to me, I get that it's self-powered, I get that it goes fast, but $1,500 is a lot of money. And so, in contrast, I guess it's not really a new idea, as it's more just taking somebody else's idea and trying to make it better. Rather than one product, one giant longboard, I want to come up with a series of motorized skateboards and sell them at a much cheaper price. Like, I'm thinking like under $500. Still have the same features, still be able to do it, and I want to be able to, crowdfund it so that way I can actually afford to do it, because I don't think the technology costs that much. I feel like you could come up with something that's electronic that could power, a human being on a board. But I also want to be able to do it to where you have different sizes for different ages, that you have smaller ones for kids, that you could even have like adult restrictions on them so they could actually like limit the speed that they go to. Like there would be parental controls, which would connect to an app or something like that on your iPad, where you could like say, okay, today he can go up to 20 miles an hour if he wants to. He's a big boy. He can try it out.
Or you put those the shopping cart meters on them, like once you leave our parking lot, these wheels no longer
That's
work.
true.
Right? So they're like, it can only go 4
like
miles or something like that.
That's right. Well, that would be bad because he could be going 20 miles an hour and then the wheels just stop and he's just like, he like flies off the board. It goes sending across the parking lot.
Oh, it has like a little beeper thing, like approaching limit or something.
It's so funny because we talked about crowdfunding in another episode, I thought. I don't remember which episode that was, but didn't we talk about... Yeah, I told you. Maybe we didn't talk about it. Maybe I was talking to somebody else about it.
I do remember you bringing up a GoFundMe. And
yes,
somebody did the potato salad. Was that the one?
That's what I was talking about. I was going to say, do you want to talk about a crowdfunding project I want to do, man? I want to make some potato salad.
That's not. Come on, this is not a feasible potato salad thing like that.
That guy raised like $50,000 to make potato salad. Like, how awesome is that? Just think about it. It's more.
How much money did he raise?
I can look it up.
That's right. You were but several thousand. This was a 5-digit.
Not several thousand. This was a 5-digit project.
My gosh, for potato salad, that's crazy.
I know I can find it here. It's not. I'm making potato salad Kickstarter. Let's see what it is. $55,492.
And so, okay, no, scroll down, like on the right hand side, how it's got the donation parts, right? Like at this level.
You want me to read? You want me to read the donation?
No. Just read the most expensive one. Read the price and what you get.
Okay. How do I switch to that?
So on the kind of on the left under the picture, it'll say like campaign.
The most expensive one, the platinum potato. This is for $110. You will receive the recipe book, the shirt, and the hat. He made a book.
I know, a recipe book, meaning there's more than one recipe for potato salad.
No, he made a recipe. I think he made a book.
Or just a book that's got one recipe in it?
After making so much money, he decided to make a potato salad recipe book where he put the recipe in a book. So you would know, or different recipes. Okay, I think it was just different potato salad.
I would be a little upset if there's only one recipe in here. There better be a whole lot of pics, and all of them in color.
For $110, receive the recipe book, the shirt, the hat, along with a bite of the potato salad, a photo of me making the potato salad, a thank you posted to our website, and I will say your name out loud while making the potato salad. It's like the greatest thing in the world. I literally see things like this. It's things like this that makes the internet, and it makes me love it so much. I have to admit, he took a great picture for the potato salad picture. This is a beautiful picture.
Like good. Does it look good? The potato salad looks beautiful?
It looks like some dang good potato salad. You know what? I think, and we talked about this, I think we were going in the, I think this is what our last topic was when we did talk about this, is it has to do with the novelty idea of it, but it more so has to do with the fact that people just want to be part of things.
Right.
People want to say that they're part of something bigger than themselves. And Kickstarter and GoFundMe offers an amazing opportunity for someone to do that without having to give much. In other words, they don't have to leave their bedroom. They don't have to leave their phone. They don't have to leave their house. You know, they can be part of something bigger by just like, okay, here's a couple of dollars or something like that. And then on top of that, then they receive, it's almost like they get a participation medal afterwards. It's like they get like a, or a you get something, you get something and it's like, oh, cool, I helped contributed. You know, I was part of that. And so, honestly, I completely understand.
You wear it like a badge of honor,
exactly.
There was one for the Smithsonian for raising funds to repair or clean. I think it was Neil Armstrong's spacesuit. It was one of the spacesuits, and so my part of me is like, you're a museum, you've got money, you have a friggin' T-Rex. What are you doing for Kickstarter? But then I thought, okay, the amount of people that actually want to be a part of this, like you're saying, and you know, they get a pin or a cap or a shirt,
smart.
And then they wear it around. They'll be like, "Yeah, I was part. I see that the reason y'all have that is in part because of me." I'm like, yeah, you said, I'm a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And see, and that's where I would probably struggle with coming up with a really good idea for a Kickstarter, because I can't necessarily think of things that other people may want to be a part of. I can just think of things that I would want to be a part of, you know, just by myself. And that's where I feel like a lot of Kickstarters fail, is not being able to attract the audience, you know, to be part of it. Because I want to know, I don't know do you know what the statistic rates? I know you do a lot of research for these episodes.
Yeah,
do you know what the statistic is?
I actually did like a whole lot of research for this, but that was not one of the ones I did. And a lot of the research that I did, I left it at work. I was like, yeah, whatever. But hold on. In my defense, we weren't going to record tonight, and you're like, we're recording tonight. And I'm like, wait.
That's true. Wait, okay. All right. Fair. If you know what? You could have just said it. I could have come up with the topic. It's actually funny.
Actually, it's 48% of all of them fail.
Is that what it says?
No, I just made that up. So I figure we can, use 40, that percentage until someone fact checks the show.
Until someone corrects us and like says that we're
I heard on the show with No Nate, and they said 48%.
48%. 48% of Kickstarters fail. Actually, you know what? We have the power of Google. We could look something like that up.
So while you're looking it up, the other two games that this guy created, the guy who's kickstarting,
this is going back to the earlier one that you were talking about. Okay,
Coma and Skinny, and apparently these they're both playable on like Newgrounds. I think they're Flashlight games, but they've actually won a few awards. They won these indie game awards. So that's Coma and Skinny. If any of you want to check those out, and they're playable like online. And so this that'll probably give you a feel of the kind of, I haven't checked them out, but I'm just looking from the artwork. It looks like it's a very similar kind of
very similar,
yeah, kind of Gothic style sort of.
So I'm curious, why did this project in particular, pique your interest? Like, why was this something? This was just because it came in an email.
So are you talking about the pinstripe, or are you talking about the
pinstripe.
Girl who? Okay, so so that actually was the one that came in the mail. And
you mean your email?
Yeah, in the email. Excuse me, in the email.
Okay.
And so, and I always look at it says these are the like current Kickstarters that we are in love with. We meaning the facilitators at Kickstarter, right? Whoever runs the website or whatever. And so I always go through and I look at each of them, and none of them have ever interested me before. None of them. This one actually. So this was the first one that actually made me go, I'm clicking on that. And so I saw the artwork. And I thought that looks good. So it was for a video game, and so that I used to be
really into video games.
Now I haven't lately, in the latter years here, I haven't played that many. I'm kind of off and on, but so I was like, hey, that looks cool. That looks like a really neat style, and also it had this kind of as the main character was it's this priest, right? So he's got his sort of the white collar thing, and he's got a cross on his lapel. And I'm like, I want to know what this is about. And so it's like, apparently you're a minister, and either you're
heading into the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, no, that's not your point. You're like on a train ride or something like that. And I forget if it's your wife or your daughter, but one of the two of them gets captured and taken into hell. And so you have to go in there to rescue her. And I think you go in with your dog, And
that's pretty cool.
Yes, it's just really neat. So I thought regardless of like whether you're for ministers or not, I thought the story was really cool. So you have this guy who, generally speaking, he's got sort of a pure motivation, someone who's trying to make the world better, and something that he loves is ripped away from him and brought into a horrible place. And so he has to go into that horrible place and quote unquote fight, right? So he's got to go fight evil. And so I've always loved the fight for evil. So it's one of the reasons that I like Star Wars. That's one of the reasons that, Lord of the Rings, why these movies do so well is that there's a clear defined, even
evil.
Yeah, there's a clear defined evil, there's a clear defined good, and even Gladiator, right? Gladiator is like a man's movie, right? Women watch that and they go, oh my gosh, I wish my man or my husband was like this guy. And men go, oh, I wish I was like that guy, because they stand up and they fight for what's right despite the odds that are around them. And so what sucked me in was the artwork, when it was like, hey, this is unique. And then I started reading about it. And I really liked the guy's story. He said, hey, I have a full-time job. I have a wife. And on my free time, I've been sitting there doing all of this. And he says, what I'd really like to do, my wife gave me the idea of, why don't you just Kickstarter this? And if you raise the money, you can, leave your job and just do this. You love this. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So as we were kind of talking about on the lottery episode, right? It's like part of what we wanted to do went with what our passions were. Like, man, if I really could, I would make these I would make these movies out of these stories, or I'd make these video games out of the characters in my stories. So this guy, I'm looking at him going, hey, you know what? That's like my desire. And so I didn't back him. He's already got it all to go. That's not to say that I shouldn't back him. His pledge was only $20,000 for a goal, and he's got 86,000 plus.
Oh my goodness!
So so he's doing really well.
Well, at least that just means it's going to be a better game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because he's like,
that's the hope.
And so that's one of the wonderful things about Kickstarter is that they actually I kickstarted 2 projects now that I think about it. Is that they're like, hey, these are our stretch goals, right? So I love the ones that have stretch goals. Like if we raise X money, we'll also add this to the game or this to the event. And if we raise Y money, we're adding this. And so it's somewhat incentive for me as the person who's going to contribute to it to go, well, I'm not just going to give you $5. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 20 because I actually get more. And I hope that extra $15 goes towards the ultimate goal, and it will unlock some things, and I get those for free. So that's awesome. Really neat that they would do that.
Yeah, no, that is really cool. And again, like I said, at the end of the day, it's that aspect of feeling like you're a part of it.
Right.
Is that you feel like by doing that, you're contributing to the overall aspect, like you're going to make it better. So, going back to something else that I had said while you were speaking, I did look up the statistics. It's not looking good for Kickstarter projects. I'm just going to let you know.
Wow, here we go.
As of October of 2015. The success rate for fully funded projects on crowdfunding website known as Kickstarter was 36.75%. That's success rate, which means it's unsuccessful, or the ones that didn't make it, 63.25.
Right. That's 64.
I was hoping at least 50% would actually get funded, but I don't know. I wonder what the majority of the project. What do you think is the most popular type of project that people are trying to fund?
Yeah, that's a tough one because there's so many different. I wouldn't even know the most popular. I know there's been a lot of successful movies that they've crowdfunded via that way. I don't. When I say successful, I say successfully funded. I don't mean like Star Wars.
Like
successful.
They were a success. Yeah, not like a successful 5A film type of thing. More just like, oh, it was successful. Like we were successful in raising enough money so me and my college roommate could put together this.
Well, they did do. There was I don't know if it was a major motion picture, but it was. Who's the one with the girl? She's a detective thing. I've never seen the first one, but it was a series of books or TV show. Veronica Mars.
I don't know.
I think it's Veronica Mars. And so there's.
I recognize that, but I don't know what that is. Actress. I thought you were going to say Nancy Drew.
No. That's from no. So there was apparently a movie or a TV show series that she was in. Yeah, because they had this actress, and she's a well-known actress, and so they kickstarted the Veronica Mars movie version, and it was successful, and so it got made into a movie, and she was like at Comic-Con. Spike Lee did one. Part of me sitting there thinking, Spike Lee, come on, man! You need to go to Kickstarter.
Sure. So that actually brings up a good point onto something else. And I know this wasn't exactly where you wanted to go, but I want to talk about like the morale of running a Kickstarter page. How do you feel? Because how do you know that this guy, I'm not saying that it is, but how do you know that this game developer isn't just a publishing company masquerading as an individual trying to accomplish his dream and asking for money when in reality he should have the money anyway? Because in his way, that's essentially, by you doing that and participating, I know you didn't give money to this project, but you're essentially just pre-ordering the game for him.
Exactly.
And you're pre-ordering it prior to production. That's like a producer's dream. Like, he's like, you're already guaranteeing that this many people are going to buy the game because this much money was given to the project.
I bought a ticket for a movie that's not even out yet. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how do you feel about that? I mean, I'm sure Kickstarter has some way to regulate that stuff, but how can they really regulate it? Because you can go as an individual. For all you know, I could be the owner of a toy company trying to start my latest collection of action figures, and I'm asking for $100,000 for this new Superman action figure that Marvel just gave me the rights to. They for some reason they put their trust in me. And that sounds very scamish.
By the way, Marvel and Superman are not.
Oh, you're right. Oh God,
you failed your nerd test.
I just realized. You
all
know
nerds
are
thinking out there. DC.
You know why? It's because I'm thinking of Marvel and I'm thinking of no, I guess Batman's not Marvel either. I was thinking of Superman versus Batman, but those are both DC. That's really bad. I'm sorry. You know what? There's a debate right now going on because of the new Batman versus Superman movie coming out, and everybody's saying that this is going to be the best, DC movie, and it may, take out, topple over the other Marvel movies that came out. Like Deadpool has gotten rave reviews, as far as it's, anyway, we're getting way off topic, but I wanted to hear the answer to your question, actually, or the answer to what I was saying. How do you feel about that, knowing that there's the potential that there could be companies that are masquerading under the idea of an independent producer?
Okay, so I get two responses to that, and they're like almost flip side of each other. There is a part of me that when I see something like that, I go, no, I'm not giving you. Like when I see Spike Lee, no, I'm not giving you. You first of all, you've got the money, and two, even if you didn't, you could go to practically any publishing, what do they call it? No, production studio. And they'll fund you. And they'll fund your movie. What do you?
They'll know
you're.
Yeah, they know who you are.
So I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking, yeah, no, I'm not doing like, and how do I know this guy or whatnot? But so one of the, I think it was the second Kickstarter project I ever kickstarted, which was last year. Okay. And you know that I like to paint, not just on canvases, but that I like to paint miniatures. And so It was called Reaper, which is the name of the company, Bones, which is the type of material that they use to make their miniatures. So it's called Reaper Bones 3. They had a 1, a 2, and now last year they had a 3. And in fact, I think they're shipping them out late April. So Reaper Bones, based in Austin, Texas, they have all of these miniatures, not all of them, excuse me. Most of the miniatures that they created for Reaper Bones 3 were already created. Now, here's the deal. They were created in metal, and they're like, we're now making them in this bones material, which is kind of like a white plastic. And it's only Reaper makes these. So you can look at that and say, well, Reaper's this big miniature company, and they are. If you ask anybody who knows anything about like miniatures or miniature gaming, and you say Reaper, I know exactly what you're talking about. They make paints, they make all these things, paintbrushes, whatnot. Right, so they obviously have the resources, and they can do this, and they know that these things will sell because Bones 1 and Bones 2
has their name on it.
It has their name,
and it has Reaper on it.
You go to any site or store that's selling bones and those things. I don't want to say that they sell out within seconds or minutes, but they sell. It's like Nike; they will sell.
I mean, I don't even paint minis, and you just talking about it for like a couple. I want some Reaper Bones now. I got to get my hand on these Reaper Bones 3, man. It's the new model.
It's out. Really neat because it literally is. It's this material they call bones, and it looks like it's a white kind of bone material, and it's neat because it's unique to Reapers. Like we have the formula for it, and only we make it for our miniatures. Now, I backed this, and it raised a lot of money. I want to say over $1 million, but I may be wrong on that. I'd have to look it up. But it raised a lot of money. And in fact, when it went live, I was at work that day, and I was in a room with my boss, And I was fortunate that I have a boss who allows me to do this. So I had it set up on one monitor, and I'm working on the other monitor, and I'm watching the and you don't even have to refresh the page. It just automatically starts updating how much money is being raised, and it's flying. Yeah. I mean, it's and like, wow. I'm like, B, if you want to get in on this, you're gonna have to get in soon, because like literally the first what is it, a tier donation tier level was like, hey, there's only like 600 of these. And I'm watching them and it's going, there's only, 129 left, 111, 97, 82. I'm like, man, wow. So here's why I backed it, knowing full well that they're a production company, is because it's what we were talking about earlier, is that I get these first, right? So when they're done, they're shipped to the people who backed us first, and they won't be out in stores for circa a year later. And they're going to be released slowly. Not that they intentionally are going to be like, we're only going to release these 6 and then those 6. It's because of their production style. They got to make the molds for them, and then they got to produce them in mass quantities to send them out to people. So I get them, quote unquote, first. 2, I'm also getting some new ones that they created. Like, hey, these are never before. These are the new ones are created. Here's our concept art. And 3, I'm getting a whole lot of free stuff with it too, because they kind of staggered it like every other unlock tier that you reached. Like every other one was free stuff. Like, hey, these are free. Okay. If we get to this level, this much donations,
this is free.
Yeah, X miniatures are free. And then the next level, these miniatures will be unlocked, but you got to pay for them. But you can get them for 50% what we'll be selling them for retail. So you're getting like a deal. So I can see on that end going, I want these miniatures to exist. And whether I donate as a Kickstarter donator, or whether I just sit and wait years, eventually they'll be out. So why not?
They're gonna
be like you said, be a part of it now. Reap, no pun intended, reap the rewards, right? And be one of the first people to have them and get some of these cool new stuff for a cheaper price, right? And in addition to this, it's also like, so yesterday when I got home from work, there were 2 packages on my doorstep. And I'm like, my minis are here, because I had ordered minis from online, and it's like Christmas, right? So there's a part of me that's like, I'm waiting for circa late April, early May, this big fat box of like,
it's gonna show up
250 plus minis is just gonna be. I'm gonna be like, I won't even be able to paint them all. I'm like, how am I gonna paint all these? But
that's crazy.
I think that's part of it. Is like you said, that people want to be. I was part of this, and 2. Some of the things like, and I always go and I look at the board games. And when I'm looking at the board games, I'm like, oh man, I'd really love to have that mini. And as I'm scrolling through it, I see that's only one mini I want out of the whole board game. How much do I have to donate? Minimum is like 78 just to get that. I'm not going to do that, But if I could, donate 20, 30 and get a few things that I like, why not do it?
Sure. No, don't get me wrong. I completely understand, where you're coming from. And so I guess really at the end of the day, I know it wasn't really what we were trying to define, but I guess we really just defined what a good Kickstarter needs.
That's true.
Or a good crowdfunding project needs. You need to have a little bit of novelty. So it's got to be something that really only you have, or it's got to be an upgraded version of something, that already exists. You need to have the ability to make people feel like they're a part of it. They have to feel like that the project is bigger than themselves, but they're so excited that they get to contribute. And then you added one more in there in what you were talking about. You have to make it exclusive, or to the point where it's like they're getting it before anybody else does. Because I know we sink Star Wars into every episode that we have. We got to find a way to put Star Wars in there. Ding. And today, although I know we try not to put timestamps on these, and we've broken this rule more times than I can think of. But today they just announced the release of Blu-ray for the new Star Wars movie, and they announced that there's going to be 4 different box sets that you could buy exclusive at different places, like one at Walmart, one at Target, one at Best Buy. There's different ones, and one of them has like 20 extra minutes of extra footage. 20
extra hours.
One of them has 20 extra hours. How much footage do you have? One's going to have like 20 extra minutes of bonus interviews and stuff like that. And one comes with like an exclusive like BB-8 poster, like just some random things. And I'm like, I want them all.
Right.
Like I want to go and buy them all, but I don't want to buy all 4 of them. That's ridiculous. So you have to have a little bit of an exclusiveness, or a little bit of that, the first person, I get them before anybody else does. So no, I completely get it. I completely get where you're coming from. And at the risk of making this episode longer than we probably need it to be, I am curious because I want to return back to your original question. You asked me, what ideas do I have for Kickstarter? And I didn't give you the best ideas in the world. They're probably going to fail. But that's not the point. There's still my ideas. There's still things I want to, have funded.
Important to you.
I want to know what's on the top of your list of something that you would like to have funded.
I've actually thought of this before, but if I was going to do it, I would have to hash it out some more. So it was in 2014, I was having a slow work week, and I sat down and I started scribbling out an idea for a board game, and that would be it. And I would be like, I know what you're talking about. Even have little miniatures that would be for this board game, and it's based on, again, my writings, right? So some of the writings that some of the characters that my writings revolve around, these would be the characters in the board game. And so I remember I'm trying to write this ideas down. I'm like, how would I make this work? How would I make this work? And so I even sent it to a couple friends, asking them, hey, this is the idea I have. Can you help me? Because I'm kind of stuck on it. How would I get this aspect to be done like that? Now, I have noticed that there's you're talking about that statistic of how many Kickstarters fail. There's a lot of board games out there that failed their first try because they weren't properly vetted, may not necessarily be the proper word, but they weren't properly play tested and thought through. And so as they're doing their Kickstarter, people start asking all these questions like, well, how do you handle X, or how does Y, or how do you do it? And they're like, oh, we don't have answers for these. Hold on, we got to scrap this and go back to the drawing board. And I don't want that to be mine. If that's the case, I want it to have it all fleshed out, and I want to have a prototype and bring the prototype around, have people play test it so that I can actually show doing the Kickstarter, hey, here's our board. The art may be a little different. Here's the miniatures. The miniatures may be a little bit different, but here's how the game works. And in fact, we have a link to our YouTube page where you can see like a 1 hour playthrough or something to that effect. So that would be
So
mine.
You just need a little bit more of a play test before
exactly.
you definitely need to have it a little more hashed out.
Right.
So no, I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool, that you, and I think it's cool that you tie it back in. And if anybody missed our previous episodes, for those of you that don't know something about Brendan, is that he enjoys writing. And he's written some really cool, some stories. I'll be honest, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, so I haven't read all of them. But the writing that I have read was definitely enticing. And I'm talking like, probably like right along the lines of that Lord of the Rings, meets like, yeah. Well, I feel like it is, at least. I feel like it's on the same level.
Your brother loved it. He'd be like, what else do you have? What else do you have?
But then again, it's a little unfair for me to say because I didn't read The Lord of the Rings, so I kind of feel like maybe I shouldn't say that. I do think it's funny, though, that my older brother enjoyed him. I do think it's funny that he enjoyed it so much that he felt the need that he had to review like your stuff like on Amazon, because your book was on Amazon for a while. Is it still on Amazon?
No, I actually asked him to take it out of print, so it's no longer.
Okay, I gotcha. But when it was on Amazon, I thought it was funny that my brother wrote this 4-page review of this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I'm like, okay, Jonathan, cool it down. I get that you're trying to support him and everything.
That's nice because he hadn't done that for anything else that he read. So that's really, really nice.
You know what?
Of him.
That is true. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this to take it away from him. I just thought it was funny because at the time, he was talking. He talked about your writing all the time. He talked about how great it was and everything. Nice. And I would read it and I'd be like, "This is really entertaining," but I hate reading, so I don't like. This is not for me.
This is why you do a podcast.
This is why I do a podcast. That's right. Actually, no, I do a podcast because you asked me to do a podcast. But I will say this: I enjoy every single minute of it. And speaking of minutes, we're probably over our time for this episode. So. It's not my job to wrap it up because you started this episode, but I'll still wrap it up anyway. Brendan, any final parting words on this wonderful topic of crowdfunding, which went a completely different direction than I think you wanted to?
No, that's good. I'm glad.
That's one of the joys of this. One of the joys of having two dudes talking about nothing. Just kind of whatever.
That's exactly right.
Any final parting thoughts?
So the only thing I'd really like to add is, please, if you get a chance, if you like the show, please go to iTunes, give us a review, leave a rating. It doesn't have to be like, hey, these guys are super awesome. We'd really appreciate it. I know it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes out of your day. Again, we'd really, really appreciate it. And it helps us in our ratings and tracking. That way, a whole lot easier for people to find the show. More people find the show, and it's better for you because you like it, and now more people are listening to it, and we can produce better and better episodes. But again, Daniel, I really, really love doing this with you.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's funny you said 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes to actually do that. That I don't know, when you were saying that, I'm just thinking, man, that's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes I could be making potato salad. It's but in all seriousness, yes, please, if you get an opportunity to, give us a review. Also, if you're on the Twitters, you can shoot us a tweet if you have a question that you'd like answered on the show. We haven't really done like a question and answer section, but then again, we both suck at Twitter, so it's not like we're on there constantly. I get on there like once a week, but I'll still check it. So if somebody sends us something, we'll be sure to find a way to work it into an episode. But as usual, thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope you'll tune in again sometime soon.